Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Welcome to my show. Today we're talking about commercial real estate, and the pandemic threw everything on its head, and commercial real estate is still one of those big questions out there. To help demystify things, Michael Johnson, not the sprinter,
Sorry,
joins us in studio to talk about that. Michael Johnson is with Keller Williams. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, first we got to talk about your name, Michael Johnson. Ever since he became a star, you've heard the same joke.
Oh yeah, it's like, as soon as I introduce myself, oh, you're not the sprinter. That disappointment of, or somebody. I say, hey, I set up an interview with someone that I've not met yet. My name is Michael Johnson, and they have that aura of disappointment over their face that it's not the real Michael Johnson.
But he is the fastest man in commercial real estate. I can tell you that. So let's talk about that. So in your capacity with Keller Williams, you do retail, you do commercial office space. What?
You're looking at when you talk about retail, commercial office space, medical office. You also have industrial. People that are looking to lease industrial spaces. So that kind of my group. We also look at investment for buyers for people, properties that for multifamily. If they wanted to own their own kind of strip center, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've heard 2 different things when it comes to commercial real estate. Either everybody's going to work from home and nobody's going to need an office, or they're going to need more space in the office because they need to social distance now.
Right. We haven't seen that shake out just yet because, when you talk about a lease, leases can be anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15 years. So that lease kind of now is holding the companies in what their space is now. I have a feeling that there could be a time that some companies go, our people were very productive from home. We don't need this much space, so we're going to back away. I think that'll be, my opinion, I think that'll be kind of a cursory move. Mm-hmm. I think the human nature, some of us don't like to work from home. Some of us like the interaction of being able to, I need to take a break. I want to go talk to my coworker to help that creativity that is needed in the workplace. Also, a Zoom meeting, there's not much there for creativity in a way. So I think at first there might be some knee-jerk reaction to go, oh, we don't need that much space. But I think over the long term, I don't think office leases will be hurt as hard. Now, again, when you talk about coronavirus and retail, that we've definitely not have seen what's going to happen, because you still have some businesses, they still haven't opened fully, if they've opened at all. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Has their landlord give them some forbearance? Meaning, have they said, hey, you don't have to pay us at this time, we'll just kind of push it on down the line? And definitely in restaurants, we, the mom and pop, the for the size that would be, say, a 1,500 square foot restaurant up to a 3,000 square foot restaurant, we really don't know where that the national average, they say, is about only 20% will survive this. So we expect to have a lot of what we call second generation restaurant spaces come into the market at any time.
How about industrial?
Industrial was not hurt. Industrial rates we see pretty much stayed steady. Industrial was always those are, I wouldn't, didn't want to say that they're needed across the board, but most of the time industrial uses were construction, or maybe medical supplies, stuff like that, that were needed for during this time of the pandemic.
So there's a lot been written and talked about the end of the mall. What do you see for that kind of retail when some of these anchor stores are declaring bankruptcy?
That, I don't do a lot of mall leasing, but I've read different articles that the mall has been on its decline. They've been riding for a long time, but yet where I live in it's kind of the North Dallas, when you're going into, say, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, there are developments that more look like Legacy West, which is not necessarily a mall, but it is a very close contained retail, office, residential, very much a multi-use. So the mall that we're thinking of, that we grew up in to be able to go and skate, skate or have an arcade or anything like that, that could be going away, just because that is a very risky venture. But something like a Legacy West is kind of what we're seeing, the kind of it thing to develop.
Tell me, what kind of clients do you like to work with? Are they mostly small business owners?
Mostly I do work with small businesses. These are people who either already have a business, they're looking to grow, they've already outgrown their space and they're looking to move into a bigger space, or they want another location. I also work with, and I say work with / counsel those who are starting a business, to help them to understand, hey, you're going to have some financials. They're just not going to give you this lease and, pat you on the back and say, get out there and go. You're going to have to prove to them that your product is sound, your business plan is sound, and that you are going to be a good tenant for this property. Because a landlord doesn't necessarily look at the individual tenant. They look at the combination of how all my tenants work together, are kind of some synergy in the center, so that everybody is successful. So if they do have that opening, they can tell a new person that is coming in who is looking at that to maybe lease that space, hey, our tenants make over X amount, millions of dollars a year, and they can really sell that. So they don't look just individually; they look at a whole spectrum of how their tenants work.
And when it comes to tenant representation, what should people look for?
You always, you see the signs everywhere you go. You could, anybody could call them and say, hey, how much, what's the lease space? Well, how much is it? The intricacies come into, that person that you're talking to, they represent the landlord. So you have no one representing you. So you don't know what the ins and outs are for negotiations. Possibly, I would think if just people off the street just didn't know that, hey, what's a good increase per year? Is that 2%? Is that 5%? Is that 10%? Right. They wouldn't know what type of increases are good or not. Also, to understand triple nets, to understand tenant build out and tenant build out allowance. So what can you get from the landlord to help you if you need to reconfigure the space for your business? Your landlord will sometimes help you do that and give you monies toward that. So I don't know, I would say that anybody who is looking to do that, they really need someone who is in the field and who has experience, because whatever they pay, that's how I get paid is a percentage of that. So they're not going to be save any money because they're representing themselves. They're probably costing themselves money.
That is very good advice. We're going to put your Facebook page up. Michael Johnson, Keller Williams, the North Texas Commercial Group.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
You were awesome. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.